You boys be quiet down there!
Hi, this is Mr. Jakes from Basement Brothers. I've been playing The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4 for the last week, and I wanted to make a short video about the game. At first I was thinking of making something similar to the video I made last year for Cold Steel 3, complete with a giant spoiler warning at the beginning. But then I thought, considering how many spoilerific videos there are out there for this game, why not make something for the English-speaking fans who still haven't played either Cold Steel 3 or 4, just to give them an idea of what kind of game Cold Steel 4 is. So here I present my spoiler-free video on Cold Steel 4, or as close to spoiler-free as humanly possible. To start off, here are some ground rules for this video. Obviously, I can't give away anything about the game's story, so I won't be showing any cutscenes or significant story parts of the game. Secondly, I will be showing some new locations in the game, but I won't explain what any of the new locations are or how they are significant to the plot, so they should hopefully just look like random new locations to you. I also won't be showing any recognizable locations from games prior to Cold Steel 3 that would give away anything significant about the story or setting of 4. Lastly, the only major characters I will be showing will be the main playable cast of Cold Steel 1, 2, and 3. So if you've played Cold Steel 1 and 2, you'll already know who the old Class 7 characters are. And if you don't know the new characters from Cold Steel 3, I won't be telling you anything about them or their backstories, so you won't learn anything important about them. If you've seen the thumbnail for this video, then you've seen all of them already. I will also be showing some NPC townspeople, and some of the NPC students from Tor's Military Academy. I suppose someone could argue that the presence and absence of certain main characters in the footage I'm about to show you gives away some plot details about Cold Steel 3 and 4. And to an extent, they would be right. It was really impossible for me to get any gameplay footage without showing which new and old Class 7 members are present near the beginning of the game, so I ask for your understanding on this. I personally don't think that this will spoil the story, and if you've seen even the cover art for this game, then you already know who the main characters of the game are. So if you're not okay with any of these rules, turn back now while you still can. Okay, for those who are still here, let's get on with the video. The games in the Trails series come in pairs, except for Trails in the Sky the Third, which is just weird. The first game in each pair introduces almost all new characters, settings, and music. The second game utilizes the same game engine and assets from the previous game in order to continue the story, while of course adding some new locations, music, etc. And Trails of Cold Steel 4 is no exception. It's a direct sequel to 3, using the same game engine, characters, some of the same locations, and plenty of reused music. Of course, there is plenty of new music as well. I really like the new main battle BGM, and have already annoyed plenty of people by whistling and humming it everywhere I go. I mentioned in my video last year that Cold Steel 3 reminds me a lot of the first Cold Steel game. I suppose then it should not be much of a surprise that 4 reminds me a lot of 2. While 1 and 3 are very episodic, repeating the same pattern of school days, followed by a fenced-in trip to another area of the Erebonian Empire, 2 and 4 feel a bit more like a free roam around the world of the previous game, with some new locations added. In the earlier parts of the game, you are warped around to specific locations on the map, before the game eventually opens up into a connected world where you are allowed to roam freely, just like 2. While 1 and 3 are divided into chapters, 2 and 4 are divided into acts. You might be wondering, what's the difference between a chapter and an act? Well, in these games anyway, a chapter constitutes one episode taking place in one specific region of the game, and an act divides the game into larger parts, in which the characters travel to multiple regions in order to accomplish one overarching task. The game changes gears drastically between acts. as you already know if you've played Cold Steel 2. Also, acts tend to be longer than the chapters. Well, some of the chapters in 3 aren't exactly short, but I'm sure you get what I mean. The overall feel of 4 is very similar to 2 in my opinion. In 2 there's definitely a mood of isolation, as you slowly try to regain the stability once provided by your base town and school in the previous game. While there is slightly less focus on this aspect in 4, a very similar feeling is there for sure. One place where 4 differs from 2, however, is the presence of a training dungeon that you have to go through multiple times throughout the game with a different layout each time. I don't know why, but now 2 is the only Cold Steel game that doesn't have this. One thing that 4 does share with 2, however, is the presence of these ruins which have risen up in locations where there was nothing in the previous game. Like in 2, these dungeons are optional quests, which you don't need to complete in order to finish the game. Wow! Another thing imported straight from 2 to 4 is trial chests. These are chests which require a specific set of characters in your party in order to be opened, and require you to fight a boss in order to gain a new ability. Of course, since this game is a pair with 3, there are plenty of things carried over from 3 as well. The card game Vantage Masters is back, and at one point you can even play against Mishi. Vantage Masters is a very addictive card game based on the old Falcom title Vantage Master. I generally enjoy it a lot, but since the matches can take a long time to play, it's not so enjoyable when I lose. There are some other brand new minigames added in 4 as well, but I can't show any of them without revealing potential spoilers. The robot battles are also back, and again I feel like they are much improved in 3 and 4 compared to 2, though they are still all pretty easy compared to the regular battles in the game. Here's something relatively new though. The students can now call their robots during regular battle for a sort of summon attack, dealing massive damage. These are kind of weird because they're located in the craft menu, yet they use EP instead of CP, and are executed like arts. They can only be used once per battle, so in that way they are most similar to the lost arts from 2. System-wise, one first for the series is the inclusion of autosave. This automatically creates a save file at some important key parts of the game. I feel like I don't really need it since I'm already used to saving my game so frequently from the previous games, but I suppose it could come in handy for some players who forget to save often enough. It is a feature that most modern games have, after all. I should probably also mention that all this footage was taken on a regular PS4, not a PS4 Pro, as was the video I made about 3 last year. By the way, that video serves as a good introduction to the characters and basic plot setup of 3. You may want to check that one out too if you haven't already. It talks a lot more about the story than this video does, but I still feel that it is a good video for those who just want to know the basic premise for Cold Steel 3. It only covers the very beginning parts of the game, so it doesn't show any major reveals or spoilers which come later. I apologize again for incorrectly stating at the end of that video that Xseed has already announced plans to localize the game. This information was incorrect, and to this date there are still no plans for localizing either 3 or 4 in English. It's a sad state of affairs for English-speaking Trails fans, which I hope someday can be rectified. So that was my attempt to make a spoiler-free introductory video to Cold Steel 4. I hope you didn't learn anything important about the story at all. I haven't played too far into the game yet myself, but so far I'm enjoying Trails of Cold Steel 4 a lot. I always preferred the more open world feel of 2 over the episodic progression of 1, so I am pleased to see that 4 is similar to 2 in this respect. Thanks for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please check out the other content on our channel, Basement Brothers. We focus on classic game consoles from the 80s and 90s, including some reviews of Falcom's earliest games for the Japanese PC-88 computer series. I also have some videos showing Falcom-related events which I've visited here in Tokyo. Follow us on social media in order to keep up with our new content. Bye for now.